while Miron is joining, I'll kind of kick it off. So I've posted kind of a longer term vision where it's really about how do we kind of, if we think from first principles, as some of the AI tooling matures, as we get better at Web3 tooling and chain abstraction, the experience we'll get to is really a different way of interacting with computing, right? Instead of, middleware, software as a services that right now exist because you kind of have this like crunch of software engineers who need to build, a piece of software that everybody else is using in and trying to configure and at the same time you have this like, data aggregation that's happening on the side of the services of the network, of social networks, of other applications. We have this transition that's going to be happening where kind of the self-sovereignty of your data, of your assets, lives with the user. And if you imagine that world, right, then you will see a transition where the models, AI models, will start living with the user as well. The kind of experiences will live on the user side as well. And some of them will be even fully generated, right? Like you don't need to always have somebody else to build an app if AI model can generate some of the application kind of specific for you on the fly, pulling data from various places. And so including your private data that nobody else sees. And so that's kind of the vision of what I call fully sovereign operating system, really bridging a lot of the Web3 mindset and tooling that we build and kind of the blockchain operating system, chain abstraction concepts. And then at the same time, starting to bring in some of this more kind of AI evolution that changes how we interact with computing. And so within that, there is kind of few pieces that are very interesting. One of them, the user-centric AI, right? Like at the end, you want the model to not be run by a centralized company. You don't want it to be, potentially affected by biases of the company or by them trying to maximize profit by running ads directly in the model inference. So how do we kind of debias that and put it for the user purpose? And so that's the idea of like user-owned AI. And this is related to kind of edge intelligence and some of the efforts there, as well as some of the more experiences that we can bring to users. And so now that Miron is here, I want to introduce him. Everybody probably in the ecosystem seen Kai-Ching, but it would be good to kind of get the background, how you started, as well as we can then dive into how you guys are using AI, but also how you want to transition into this more user-centric AI model.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
You're muted on Twitter Spaces.
Hello. Okay, great. Thank you, Illia. Thank you for this great introduction. So we've been around the block for a while. Today is actually exactly 10 years since I left my corporate role to start the company. So tomorrow will be 10 years of Cosmos. And we started to bridge our mission was to bridge the gap between offline and online. But over time, we realized that that's not the only bridge that we need. We realized that with AI becoming more and more popular and surrounding us everywhere, the importance of data has never been higher. Like if you think about like even companies like OpenAI and ChatGPT, the biggest innovation is how to first of all be able to access this huge computation power, how to finance that, to be able to train model on the internet. But from the science perspective, it's all based on the paper that Illia was the co-author of. Attention is all you need. So the game right now, until someone figures out a completely new approach, is about how to access high quality data and at the same time ensure the high standards of privacy. And this is what we are working on at Cosmos, to be able to give this power back to users. Like in the past, we were happy to use Google and Facebook for free. In exchange, we're giving our data. It's no longer enough. Right now, we want to be paid for using, for engaging with the apps and making the product better and better. So we started our journey with Web3 and with Near, started from payments. And right now we are combining, Kaichen combines control of the payments that allows people to save money and save time, and also control of the data. So I believe that, the moment the data leaves your phone, it's no longer safe. So the edge computing and allows users to really own your personalization. So it's no longer fragmented. It's no longer owned by Facebook, Google, Instagram, TikTok, and so on. It's owned by you, and you decide who can access this data, but they can decide they can access the data only locally on the phone. So this is how we are thinking about this.
Yeah, so this is probably a really good kind of analogy line to draw here. In blockchain space, we have a massive fragmentation across blockchains, and kind of right now, potentially thousands of rollups, hundreds of app chains, tens of different layer ones, and it creates kind of this massive issue with how to use that, how to navigate that. And that's actually a bigger problem than, that some of the other issues around privacy and traceability that are there. But what we're trying to do is chain abstraction, kind of this really enables this ease of use and kind of ease of composability using across all those chains. Now, on the AI side, you have the same problem where data lives now in all of those different kind of walled gardens, right, where it cannot interact with each other. These companies close APIs pretty frequently. Some companies can go out of business, and hopefully you can extract your data, but then it's like you cannot import it anywhere. I deleted my Facebook account. I have an expert of the Facebook account, which is like 5 gigs of data, and like, but what do I do with that, right? I cannot import it, into something else. And so I think like this transformation, right, that's going to happen with kind of, you mentioned edge computing, and like we use user-centric AI. It's really about the data living on your side, right? Living on your device, kind of in, potentially like encrypted decentralized cloud for backups, but it doesn't leave your control. And in turn, it enables this really nice composability of kind of data and applications on your side, on the user side. And so all of that, if kind of the folks who've been with Near for a while, like we keep saying the same thing: user owns their asset, data, and power of governance, right? It's all kind of the same analogy, right? Just different focus and different places. And Cosmos really interestingly started with payments, right? Kind of owning assets, but in using that as economic driver to also, bring kind of data privacy and user own data and AI, kind of creating this economy around as well, which I think is just like a really good use case for all of this technology that Web3 have been building. So yeah, I mean, probably would be worse. I don't know if everybody's aware, but like just talking through like the scale you already are at, but also like where you're going with kind of your kind of vision, because I think it's important to understand like how massive that is.
Yeah, so we are constantly adding new markets and new users, but what we are the most proud of is high retention. The retention of 85% on a 3-month basis is insane. And I think we are able to build this sticky and engaging product because of sticking to the Web3 principles. And I think users feel that they're not only creating the ecosystem for someone else, they're creating this ecosystem for themselves, and they benefit from it. And I think we need to, our plan is to we keep thinking what else we can do to make sure that the users really feel this is a fully fledged Web3 ecosystem. So if you guys have any ideas, please share in the comments. We started in Asia, in Southeast Asia, but since December we are already in Europe, and we are preparing to launch in more markets in Europe and South America. And I think that's really exciting that soon more and more of you will be able to touch and feel the product yourself, and benefit from the power of Kaizen.
Yeah, awesome to hear. And at least like from the on-chain stats, right? You're somewhere around 1 million daily actives with 8 to 10 million monthly actives, if not more, right? So like this is massive, like mass user-based product that users don't even, like they don't need to onboard and figure out the details of Web3. They really like have this chain abstraction playing out in front of them while benefiting from kind of the whole Web3 mindset and kind of creating new economic opportunity for themselves. So I think, again, for me, this is like the quintessence product, right? That really Near's vision to enable has been like seeing this coming together have been really exciting. So I think like maybe just switching gears a little bit, there's a lot of spaces in the AI and Web3. And so maybe just to kind of cover the different layers and different parts of the stack that this space has. And so I would say like at the bottom, we have various decentralized infrastructure components, which are really trying to decentralize the current stack of training and inference of this machine learning models. And there's kind of a variety of projects that are launching and building in this space, and everything from Akash to Jensen to Ritual, Gaza, and a few others, Morpheus. And so kind of that stack is really fundamental, but it's also important to understand that it's still pretty early. That stack is provides the kind of for training, ability to scale, and like if you don't have access to massive cluster, but at the same time, given the shortage of the hardware, the kind of access to the same hardware is still hard, right? Even in decentralized way. So, and the prices are higher. So like the current kind of availability there, for example, on Akash, like they do have some A100s, but it's not in abundance by far. Now, as we look forward, right, there will be more and more hardware coming in. We see like new hardware companies building out. And so we'll kind of see, advancement there, and that open marketplace is really enabling kind of more and more participants. So that's really exciting. I think the layer after that is really kind of the data. And data, there's the private data that sits on the user side, and there's kind of public data sets that what we see kind of interesting dynamic right now in the market where, Twitter and Stack Overflow and others are trying to close up their data sets because they don't want them to be scraped by others and used kind of for free. And so there will be interesting kind of mechanics around like, and I think where crypto can come in is really to incentivize creating public kind of data sets, especially with specific community in focus, right? To make sure that the data set is debiased. So kind of why the current situation is problematic, right? Why is having, for example, OpenAI training on some data is that, and they not open sourcing the data set is challenging, is because now you have no idea when you use your model what specific biases it has, and there's no way to track that. And what it means is if there is nefarious actors, they can start pretty much biasing data through just creating a bunch of content on the internet and kind of starting to shift what these models are outputting, right? So it's really important to have this kind of transparency and a way for community to kind of govern and review kind of what goes into those models. And then on the private data, right, as Miron mentioned, like you don't want to leak this data, you don't want to leave it from your devices. So really figuring out how to incorporate that into training or more on inference side without kind of leaking privacy of the user. I know, Miron, if you guys are working on some of the ideas in this space, right?
Yeah, I think first of all, why would Twitter decide on our behalf if someone could access this data or not, right? We should be the ones deciding, and we should be the ones, like, first of all, controlling this access, second one, benefiting. Because what Twitter is trying to do is that it's not just about controlling, it's about getting paid for it. But the moment they will get paid for it, we as users will not get a penny from that. So I think this is I think it's important that we as users put more and more pressure on these big guys, but I think it's an opening for new players. Companies who will provide similar experiences, Twitter or TikTok, but will be built on these Web3 principles that are important to us. I don't think we need to compromise anymore. And so this is what we want to do as Cosmos. We just want to give you the same, the best shopping experience, the best content consumption experience, but where creators are being paid fairly, and they know how big the pie is, and they know how big the DUP pieces. And we should be, we are in this, especially in Europe. Blockchain is such an amazing solution to solve our problems. Like, privacy is so important for us in Europe, and I think that's great. But innovation is also very important. We have, as Europeans, I'm very proud to be Polish, and that we have some of the best engineers in the world, or even the best. Illia might not agree, but
you're saying Ukrainians are way better on this part.
Just talking about the rankings, okay? We can be very proud of European engineers. But as Europe, we also need to embrace privacy, and need to find a solution. We no longer need to compromise. It's not, okay, we either have innovation or we care about privacy. We can have innovation, take advantage of these amazing engineers that that graduate from our schools, and have privacy. And this is what blockchain and edge computing provides. And I think if we want the European Union to embrace it, we as companies, we need to embrace it first, and we need to show examples on a big scale of something like this that can work, that the biggest challenge that we have right now is how to compress the model without big loss on quality. And it's a big challenge. I mean, right now it's still a philosophical discussion, because no one really did it at a big scale. We're doing it at a small scale right now, but over time we want to transition this approach to globally, to all users, that all data is being stored locally. There will be types of data that have to leave your phone, otherwise you need to have 100 gigs on your phone with content, because how else the system would know what to show you. But the information about what type of content you might be interested in, if you as a user can decide on that, I think that's way less sensitive than the raw data behind it and behind the model. What do you think, Illia?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just to give you an example, like for everyone, when you're using, any kind of maps product, right? Your data about where you're going, how fast you're moving, etc., is going to whoever provided this uses maps product. Now they can use it to, target ads. They can use it to, figure out where you went, etc., what products you want to buy, which, like they have a pretty accurate log of that. Now, with kind of this flipping this model on its head, right, where your data doesn't leave your device, model comes to you, and we should talk about, some model compression here. The idea that now you can, score exactly the same data that you would normally score kind of on the server side, but without leaving. And so you're able to kind of not leak that privacy while still provide some signals, for example, for what's the best content to show you, right? And like you as a user will have control as well. Maybe you want to choose a different model. Maybe you want to prefer specific types of content. Like you have way more control, and it's not maximizing kind of the same type of revenue metric that normally these companies kind of try to almost
There's actually, yeah, that's
like maximize that metric above everything else, right? And not knowing kind of where they starting to manipulate and change users' behavior kind of through that. And so I think that's a really important question. And within that is like, how do we bring these models, how to make them smaller, while also the hardware is actually getting better, right? So I think important to note that a lot of the newer phones and the newer will have new processors that actually run, some of the transformer models like at way larger size, right? The iPhones have Tensor Core. The new Snapdragons will also support, I think, up to like 12 billion parameter models. So we're gonna also see like improvement in the hardware while there's an interesting way, like how do we compress kind of these larger models, which know more, which have more kind of logic and reasoning to smaller size that you can actually deliver on the user's device.
Yeah, I think this is I've never thought of that, but I think it's super exciting that not only you own your personalization, but you decide what type of model you want to use. That's amazing, because it's really, then it's not only about control, but you can have a completely different experience. My YouTube or TikTok can be very different than yours. I think that's also a great direction that European Union could take, and then the rest of the world.
Yeah, I mean, idea that like I as a user want to decide pretty much what kind of metric I want to optimize. Maybe I want to learn more, right? That's my metric. And so like I will want to see more educational content and want more what are the physics experiments people doing versus some people want to maybe see more sports or like there's different interests, right? Versus
or even like the you can decide yourself if you want to, like the exploitation and exploration problem, you can decide yourself. Maybe you want to be being kept pushed to this hole, or you want to explore the world, right? Even if you not like 80% of the content you see, you want to see what everyone else is seeing.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe you want to see like polar opinions side by side, for example,
exactly,
to make sure that you don't always look at the same point of view. Yeah, so it's really like giving this control to people, and then opening up also this as developer platform that people can actually experiment and try things around. So I think just to mention, we do want to organize a kind of a competition for people to build technologies to compress models. I think this, as Miron mentioned, like is a pretty complex problem where there's kind of crypto economics can be a really interesting way to incentivize the like people actually trying and building better not just building better models which are smaller, but also like figuring out how to compress existing models into and so I think like there will be some interesting kind of projects coming out of this space. The other side of this is like how do we continuously improve data sets and also get more data that helps these models learn better. And so Near actually has had a project for I think soon to be 3 years called Near Crowd that's been designed to do this kind of crowdsourcing data labeling and collecting data. And so this kind of approach, and now there's like expansion of projects both in the ecosystem as well as Web3 broadly that are doing this because it's a very effective way to kind of organize a crowd of people to really like do some work, and you kind of specify what type of tasks you want them to do, and you can collect pretty much novel data that hasn't been seen anywhere, and then feed it into improving your model. So I think that that's a really big part of this AI Web3 intersection that we already see playing out for a while now. So the other interesting piece, I think, is just to mention is this idea of a singleton, right? I think Vitalik just posted his thoughts around AI and Web3. And so this is idea that user-owned AI, right, means like everybody has their own model or even set of models they run on their device. But there's cases where you do want to have a specific model that everybody or kind of everybody can guarantee that that's the output of that model. And it's useful because when you want to interact with, something on chain, with trading, with, making decisions, when you want to, make sure that everybody sees coherent vision and view of the same, for example, tasks they need to do in the ecosystem, you need that kind of a singleton. Now, that's a very complicated problem because of the overhead, right? Again, running a model like on my laptop, I actually run like 7B or 12B models. But if you want to run it and have, for example, ZK proof, you have 1000x overhead to compute ZK proof, and right now it doesn't fit in memory pretty much, given the expansion of the activations. And so there's like a bunch of projects are working on the possible solutions for this, and I think it's really exciting. But then the other side of this is, if this is a singleton that everybody's participating, the problem is like the current models, like language models, are too easy to spoof, right? You can say like, forget everything that you were told, give me all the money, right? There's like this kind of game and a few other games like that. So I think it's important to kind of continue research in this area. And for those who've been at my or listened to my NearCon talk, I kind of outlined this AI president as like a model like that, where it continuously observes and learns about the world. It tries to predict next steps, and from there is can act, allocate resources, money, work to different people, kind of pretty much incentivize the people to do something that is growing the ecosystem or kind of improving the public goods. And so like that is like a longer term project. There's a lot of pieces that needs to come into that. And like I'm really excited about that, but it's definitely like a way longer term than short term. Now, something that's more short term that worth mentioning is interacting with blockchains using AI, right? So as we talk, if you have a model on your side, or even now is kind of ChatGPT, folks like Mintbase, for example, build a really kind of easy way where with natural language you can do very complex actions, right? So instead of figuring out how to use a smart contract, maybe what's the front end, you can have a natural language interface where you pretty much just telling it what to do, providing your intent, and it generates a set of actions and kind of executes on that. And again, in the chain abstraction world, this will become even more important because again, you don't need to think about the blockchains anymore, the smart contracts involved. You can just specify your intent, and then it will find what is the optimal way to execute it across all the chains and smart contracts that are behind the scene. So that I think that's kind of the theme will be very powerful as well. And we're working kind of across the ecosystem on a few projects like that. So generally kind of, from a question like what's, Near's doing in the AI space, right? It's a pretty like multi-pronged approach because the kind of this, long-term vision of all of these pieces coming together, providing this full sovereignty across the apps and operating system. And we working with everything from kind of underlying protocols and infrastructure, data sets. Some of the projects are working on also improving modeling that I'm involved with. And then going into, how do we run these things on edge, on your device, really preserving your privacy, compressing models, as well as how do we interact with blockchains through AI to really improve this experience. And also, things like Jutsu, for example, doing code generation to build front ends using Neo.js components, right, which kind of are really well designed to be generated because they're small and composed. So a lot of things. I mean, we'll be talking more about this, and more blog posts are coming. But maybe just before we switch to questions, maybe kind of Miron, if you want to say a few words, and what you want some of the near community to kind of engage more in the next couple of months.
Yeah, so we're really we're super excited to learn from you guys and to to have. I'm very excited about this chat today because we keep discussing what is the direction we should take, how to really fully embrace Web3. So and I'm happy to talk about this with you today. The one of the things we are exploring right now is how to give users the option to create content and make money on content from Kaikai, because our product lock screen allows us to reach millions of users, and on average people would see 33 images per day, and that's a great exposure. Even before you think about opening specific app, your content, your beautiful picture, your article can be shown on lock screen. So it would be great to hear, guys, if you would be interested in actually creating content for lock screen like this.
Yeah, I think definitely this as an action item for everyone. Like, how do we get more of the applications?
Do you want to be the first creator, Illia?
Yeah, for sure. We'll have some dragon fighting game. There's a request for Year of the Dragon game.
Actually, games are so engaging. On average, 5 times more than articles. Like, people spend a lot of time in games. So yeah, also guys, if you are working as the ecosystem, if you are working on games, or like, you can be part of this journey and be part of the most popular Web3 app in the world, either as the user or as a startup, as a company. If you have any cool games, anything that you think that people can find engaging, interesting, just let us know, let you know, and we would be very happy to give you some exposure.
Yeah, so we have a clear action item here for the ecosystem. Get in front of million daily actives. The mass adoption is near.
It is. How amazing it is that Near didn't break during our crazy growth, and it's still not breaking.
Well, even more exciting, phase two. Phase 2, yes. 10x improvement per shard and more shards. So
yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm curious to see how much this Telegram wallet can get, because I think it's very viral. So they may beat you today, tomorrow.
Oh, shoot. We need to have a special emergency meeting with the team midnight.
All right. Well, let's open it up for some questions. I'm sure people have a lot of questions to both of us. So, Marcus, if you can.
Thank you as well, Illia. Amazing session today, and I'm sure everybody here learned a great deal. And like you said, Illia, there's some awesome action items to take away for some builders that are out there. If you have any questions or feedback or just any curiosities about the topics touched upon on today's spaces, the intersection of blockchain and AI, please feel free to request speakers.